What great
Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Glenn and Howard. Woohoo, we got the Long Island contingent here. We'll just give it another minute or so to let people join us. Um, and Elizabeth is in a tornado watch warning, whatever, something. So, if
You're
you
in a
get an
shelter?
alert on your phone and need to run, you let us know.
Okay. Yeah, if a tree comes crashing through, you'll know. There will be signs.
There will be somebody shared on, I think it was Threads, pictures and that they are part of, I don't know if it was the Red Cross or something, with what it is really like in terms of the sound, and that the sky
Yeah.
gets bright green and all these interesting things. So we typically don't have that up here in New York. We get hurricanes, but typically not tornadoes. All right, well, I'm going to begin because you people are here, and if people join us later, then they will benefit as well. And if you're watching on the replay, uh, know that I will share Elizabeth's contact information so that if you have specific questions we don't get to, you can reach out. Our guest today has built her career in event production, working alongside AV teams, speakers, and organizations and organizers to bring events of all sizes to life. With experience ranging from conferences and galas to workshops, trainings, she's seen firsthand how small details like microphone slides and stage setup can make or break a presentation. Her passion is helping speakers feel confident with the technical side so they can focus on connecting with their audience. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know I explained to Elizabeth before you all got on that we have a mix of experience and types of speakers. It might be helpful for Elizabeth to know. So, is anybody here full time, 100% speaking? Right? Most Ken, you are. Okay. I think many of us have either consulting, coaching, training type businesses or side businesses. Howard, your business is uh, support business. All right. Well, so I have some questions, Elizabeth, for you. Let's start with what's the first thing we need to know? So we're doing a speaking gig, and obviously there's going to be a sound check or something like that. But what do we need to know? It can feel a little bit overwhelming sometimes, and sometimes you don't know ahead of time if there is an ABT. It's not even part of the conversation. So
Right, right. I mean, there are a lot of different directions. Oh, I don't know if y'all can hear the rain. I'm so
I
sorry. It
can,
just
no
started
worries,
back up.
no worries.
I
Mother
was like,
Nature
oh no.
decides.
Yeah, sure. Like there it is. But there's a lot of different directions you go into as a speaker. The four questions that I really rely on or suggest speakers ask themselves, ask their point of contact is what type of an event is the event that you're speaking at. So you can have banquets, you can have award shows, workshops, charity events, galas, ribbon cutting, seminars. There's just so many different types of events that you'll be at, but it really matters what those are so that you can show up in the best way possible to create the message. And then the next question is, what is the goal of that event? So you can have a charity event, or you can have an awareness event, or entertainment or marketing. Like there's a core purpose of that event that is communicated through a gala or through trade shows or retreats or something like that. But then you need to know that core principle of what they're trying to accomplish there. And so that goes into who are you speaking to. I think some of this is, we take it for granted or it seems really simple, but it is that who is your target audience? Are you talking to students? Are you talking to investors? Are you talking to an organization that's religious or not, or military people? I think that you're going to show up differently if you're talking to a room full of military people versus students. You might be a little bit more direct or statistics heavy in your speech, or just change the way you dress a little bit if you know who you're talking to. And then you really want to get to know what the expectations are for the event organizer, because they may have a completely different idea about the event or whatever you're speaking at than you do, and you think you're walking into one thing and then you show up and it's completely different, and there might be some restrictions that you're not aware of, or they really don't want you to say a certain thing, or there's some slide requirements that they have to adhere to. And so knowing those expectations is going to affect everything. So you don't want to get so far down the road of like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to create all these slides. And then come to find out you weren't supposed to do that. And you've just created so much more work for yourself than needed to happen. So those are the 4 questions, and I always say kind of start from there, and then it'll direct everything else.
Yeah, I know. I always ask because sometimes I think my main contact, and I don't know if this happens to the rest of you, they may not even think of introducing me ahead of time to somebody from the AV team, or so I sometimes have to pull that out from them and say, so tell me about the setup of the room. Tell me about, will there be an AV team?
Right, absolutely. And that kind of goes into what how important it is to have a point of contact and to know who that is, because I can't tell you how many times speakers have, tried to communicate something to the AV team, but it never goes through because
Mm,
the point of contact, the event organizer, some people are, they're worried about marketing, they're worried about other things or sponsorships, and they're not necessarily getting all of those nitty-gritty details that need to either be communicated to you or to us, as an AV provider, that would really make all those moments happen or like go smoothly. And I just hate the situations where we're like, oh, we wish we would have known that. We could have prepared.
yeah.
And so sometimes it's better to just get that point of contact information, or make sure that you can directly talk to the AV team first, because we all know how it is with so many moving parts and people talking to whoever and playing telephone. It doesn't really go very well. And so your AV team will love you if you get in contact with them as soon as possible.
And I don't know about the rest of you if this has ever happened, but I was speaking for an organization and they said, oh yeah, we'll have you'll be able to show slides, and they told me what they had, and I got there and no, there was no way to show slides. So I I'm always prepared to do it without tech if I need to of any kind. So what was how did you first build confidence in this area? What's your behind the scenes story?
Yeah, so I actually I did not grow up as a techie person. And so that world was like super difficult for me to get into when I first started working in the AV production world. Because I don't know all the terminology. I don't know all of the whys behind audio engineering. And I always tell speakers, you don't have to. That's not your job. You don't have to know why a microphone works. You just need to know which one or why you need it for your purpose. I used to joke with people when I first started, because I was like, I don't know if y'all are talking about a projector or a gun, because like all of the different language is just so, you know, you're not used to hearing it. And so I just suggest don't worry about your brain power on like what type of projector is used and what type of cameras are there. You just need to know the why behind it, and that it is important for certain aspects of your presentation to run smoothly, that you know the right questions to ask, and just know a general understanding of why certain aspects of AV is important to be prepared for.
So in addition to those 4 questions that you shared with us, what are some things we should be asking that we might not have thought to ask?
So Depending on what you're looking for, we can go into microphones. I think microphones is super important. So you have different types of microphones, and I think everybody knows that theoretically, but you don't really know why you use certain ones at different points. And so we'll just go into really basic understanding of different types of microphones that you can know which type of presentation you're giving or why you need it. So podium mics. Podium mics are stationary. You're going to go up and you're going to stand in one place. And if you have notes, it's really nice to have. Typically, it's not speakers that do this. It's more of MCs or the point of contact that have announcements that they're going to stand in one place. You have a podium mic that is adjustable, so know that you can adjust it. And then I always tell people to stand where you can touch the podium is a good length. And then that's where you have your confidence monitors, and hopefully your AV team has done a good job at making sure they are on either side.
And I'm going to interrupt you just to say, because I don't know the levels of experience necessarily of people joining us. Just in
Yeah,
case you
absolutely.
don't know what a confidence monitor is, that's where you can see your slides in front of you as you're speaking.
They're typically on the ground, so their screens face towards you on the ground, and they'll have either, and this is another point, they'll have either whatever is directly on the screen next to you, like that the audience or attendees can see, or you can request to do notes view. So make sure your AV team knows that you want to do notes view, because it's not as simple as just showing up and being like, hey, can I do notes view? Your AV team actually has to run different lines and different signals and inputs and outputs and all of that in order to have that set up for you. And so I would hate for you to be so prepared with a notes view situation where you show up and that's not available.
And I've had a thing that I think Howard will appreciate this the most, or all of us have maybe experienced it, but the challenge of bringing your own computer versus using theirs, and fonts messing up on slides and all that kind of thing. I know I prefer to bring my own computer if I'm using slides, but that's not always realistic. Sometimes they want you to send them ahead of time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into slides. I wanted
Yeah.
to circle
Yeah,
back
back to the
to,
microphone. So we have
yeah.
we have the podium mic.
So podium mic, stationary, handheld mics. It's pretty self-explanatory. You've got something that you can hold in your hand. This is for people that like to pace, so they like to go around and walk the stage. Or if you're going out into the audience and you want to do some interactive portions, um, or if they need to have one ready for the audience, they'll use a handheld mic. Make sure that you speak so closely to the mic. It is very difficult for the microphone to pick up sound and to have it be good quality. If you're not, people use the term eating the mic. And so make sure it's right up to your mouth. You don't have to put your mouth on it, but make sure it's like at least like 4 inches from your face, because it's unidirectional. Typically a handheld mic is, and so if you're going like this or you're going like this, it's only getting like side of the sound, and so you'll miss words and it won't come out as clear. So make sure you are good with that. But if you don't want to have something in your hands and you're doing something that is you've got to use your hands for a demonstration, or you just don't want to drop it or deal with anything like that, we use the headset mic. And make sure you take in consideration what you wear, and where it's going to be like attached to your clothes or your body. If you're not comfortable with having it all around your belt or behind your jacket, like you need to think through those things, especially for women. Also, if you are wearing, I'll just make a blanket statement and say if you're wearing earrings, like they should be small. They shouldn't be dangly earrings like I'm wearing today, because that will click, 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 click so much on the mic, and you'll get so much feedback. It's bad. Your AV team should take care of you, but your headset mic should not be out here, because the reason for that is the mic's gonna pick up all of your breathing. It's just like you get the feedback throughout the room, and that's difficult. And then sometimes it's hard for men with beards to have it because it will, depending on the mic and the quality of it, it'll pick up it moving on your beard. So make sure it is just behind your nose, and really on your face, not out here. Um, and then yeah, I'm trying to think through. And then lavalier mics. So that's the ones that clip on your shirt. Um, that's not typically something we like to use for the stage. You can request it, but it is more of an interview type mic, where it's your stationary or you're seated. Make sure you're not wearing any scarves or jackets that are really that move around because you get that sound. Um, and then if you're at a conference, speakers always forget to take off their lanyards. So make sure you take off your lanyards, because the jingling sound, it'll pick it up. So lots of that we're doing really high level, but there's lots of tips and tricks for microphones, and depending on the type of event you're at, it's gonna inform you which mic you want to use.
Chris, do you have a clarifying question there?
Not so much a question. I want to illustrate one of Elizabeth's points for a moment
Go
with a
for
quick
it.
story. The thing about the beards with the guys, I learned this at the worst possible time in one of the hardest ways. And thankfully it was at a dress rehearsal the day before the big event, but it was actually the day before my TEDx.
Oh,
And we had the ear mic on, and they were trying to figure out ways I was holding it with one hand because it kept falling off. And of course, I had nightmares of it coming off in the middle of the talk the day of. And then the other thing that I realized, I'm an obsessive moisturizer, right? Like every
Yep.
single day. Sunscreen. And the day of the talk was the day it was 104 degrees in New Jersey. So I had sunscreen on and all that stuff. And that also made it very difficult for the skin colored tape to adhere.
Yep.
So that was the other thing I learned is you have to be aware of the type of moisturizers you're using or whatever you put on your skin if you're expecting something to adhere to it when you're going to be walking around and or potentially sweating. So I exactly what you said about that part, Elizabeth. I lived that in in a really tough time. So
Yeah. And sometimes you'll get mic'd up, and then you have to go sit back at your table for a bit, and it gets all, messed up a little bit. So hopefully wherever you're at, they'll have a stage manager and they'll adjust that for you right before you go up. But if not, just remember to do a little quick adjustment, make sure everything's in the right spot. And a lot of times, like you were saying, Chris, like if there's not enough slack for you to move your head, it pulls on the mic and it just creates an issue. And so making sure some mics will have that little clip that you can clip on that gives enough slack for you to move your head. So anytime they're miking up, make sure you move your head around just like you would when you're talking or, making gestures so that you can test that before you go on.
that's good. Yeah, thank you. Um, any other questions on mics before we move on to other things that anybody's struggled with or thought about? We did talk at the chapter meeting. For those of you that weren't there, we had a little time for just general Q&A at the end, and somebody was talking about getting the magnet magnet type of clip. Maglav. Thank you. Howard, yes.
So I've found that there are, depending upon the place that you're working with and what they're expecting, sometimes they're happy if you've brought some of your own gear, and sometimes they are very, very unhappy if you brought some of your own gear. So I have an over-ear device that I know that works well. It's a mid-range Countryman kind of a thing. And that way it can just clip into the lav pack. And I've found sometimes people have been very, very happy with that. And then there are some AV folks who are very much, please don't touch any of my stuff. Use what we have, or don't bother going on stage. Have you found that the same? Is it just different folks who like different things or different levels of professionalism, where it's appreciated or not appreciated, or
Yes. Yes to all of
okay?
that. And so I have found so many different speakers are comfortable with different things, as well as AV providers are comfortable with different things. And that's why it's just so important to manage those expectations before you go and get in contact with whoever's running the show that night, um, to be able to let them know that you have your own. It For us, like for my experience, it doesn't matter much. I would rather a speaker be more comfortable on stage. So whatever is the most comfortable for you, that you can give your talk or your message, and it go through. Like I always want to alleviate friction. And so if you're comfortable with that, just letting them know that's okay. You're gonna find people that aren't okay with that because I mean, we always say we like to use our own speakers because it depends. When I say speakers, I mean like the actual speaker, not the person talking. I was like, I realize that that's interchangeable, because we know what quality of sound we're going to get out of it. So there's not a good answer for that, but if whatever is making you comfortable on stage, do it. And it does show a little bit of professionalism because it's like, okay, these people, like, they've done a good amount of talks, they know what they're comfortable with. We want to set them up for success. And I'll probably reiterate this multiple times in this conversation, but we want speakers to shine. If you shine, we shine, because everybody always blames the AV if something doesn't go well. And so, like, we want to make sure you're as prepared. So that means it's like, okay, yay, everything went smooth. We did our job, because a part of our job is just, you don't even know we're there. And that's a good job for us. So, yeah.
And I don't know if we um, talked about this, but sometimes um, if they're videotaping the event, I know that I like to have a conversation ahead of time, because what if I want to get off the stage? What, depending on the setup, what if I'm going to be walking around and that may or may not work?
This is probably one of my favorite things to talk about. People are so creative with how they interact with the stage and the audience and everything like that. But you do need to let your AV team know certain aspects. So again, back to so they can set you up for success. So a couple of examples, we had one lady who let us know, which I was just like, oh yes, this is great. She let us know when in her presentation she typically knelt down and whispered at a certain part, and that's important for us to know because our camera, our V1, our video operator needs to know when to follow you for the camera. And then also our audio guy or girl needs to know when that's happening so they can adjust accordingly. And it's just such a nice thing to have an update or a heads up before that happens. Another person is if you're starting not on stage, if you're starting in the audience, or if you're going to go out into the audience during, like you were saying, during your presentation, that we need to know that too for the same reasons. And we had one person who did a demonstration on stage that needed to be mic'd up, and we needed to know that way ahead of time so we could get all of the levels correct. He had a tin can, like a tin bucket, and he was dropping really slowly BB gun bullets into it, and to create a demonstration of sound for a message he was talking about. But we had to get that mic'd in such a way that it was like, imagine that sound. Well, imagine like it would create a place where people were like, instead of being engaged with what they were actually saying. So
Yep.
it means something to be able to go through all of those things with your AV team for sure. We're here to support your storytelling instead of having those, oh dang, it would have been cool if we knew that moments. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. Maybe we move on to slides and clickers, and what do we need to know about that? And communicating with the team.
Yes. So,
Or any other thing. I mean, there, like you said, the tin can, what other things that people might be using?
there are so many things. Um, but things that get overlooked, and I think that speakers just need to have some tips and tricks in their tool belt for slides and clickers. Is specifically for clickers. You want to know who's advancing your slides. So connecting with your AV team, talking about, okay, are you controlling it? Are they controlling it? Are you using a clicker? Are you using your own laptop? Are you controlling it from your laptop on stage? Because if that's the case, they need to have connections for that. Or are you using a clicker and all of your presentations are through their laptop? So it seems small, but it's like, whose laptop are you using? Does the point of contact need to provide it? Are you providing it? Is your tech team providing it? All of that. So slide advancing is important. When you use a clicker, I'm not sure how many people have done a lot of speaking. I'm sure you've had experience though with clickers. They're all a little different. It seems easy, but make sure you click it with a good amount of force. And and some of them are a little finicky. And then make sure you're not clicking the laser. There's some clickers have a big green button that's like the slide advance. They've got a red one that's backwards, or I don't know how it's looking for you guys. And then they've got some of them have a laser pointer. So we've had a lot of situations where people are clicking that laser pointer thinking they're trying to advance the slide and it doesn't happen. So just make sure you're doing the right button. And then also for those lasers, it only goes to one side of the screen. Wherever you're pointing it is going to go to either the left or right. It's not going to go to two at the same time. There are software uses in certain type of clickers that do that, but they're not widely used right now, and they're pretty finicky. They take a long time, they lag, and it kind of takes you out of the moment for sure. I saw a hand.
Yes, Glenn.
So, I mean, that's always the big concern is are my slides going to upload? And are they going to advance properly?
We could get into that.
I have a huge, I bring it, I send it, I make it as a PDF and a PowerPoint. It's crazy. Yeah.
Also, I think you may remember Beth, the woman that was the Air Force pilot.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, she came to speak when she had a ring
clicker. Yeah, those are
ring
cool.
clicker, which was kind of cool. Anyways, I have zero experience at doing this. I can barely make a PowerPoint presentation, but I know that this is going to come up.
Yes.
And I appreciate your speaking about it.
Absolutely. So there's when making slides, it is the easiest way to do it is on PowerPoint presentation or Keynote. Because what happens is AV teams typically put it into their software that is able to advance and do internal cues for them. So using PowerPoint or Keynote is the easiest. A lot of people use Canva, but what happens with Canva is you spend so much time on it making all these pretty animations and transitions, and we can't use it. And so we can run it through Canva, but then Canva, you have to use internet, and that creates a potential break, if you know what I'm saying. So we just advise you don't do it through Canva, and if you have to, that's fine. There's always a way to do it. It's just the easiest way is through that PowerPoint and Keynote. And then you can also run it through the PowerPoint presentations or Keynote. It just, it comes with risks. There's always a way. I like to say that, but we had issues with someone did it through Canva and then downloaded it and sent it to us, but she didn't let us know there was any transitions or animations, and so when she was trying to advance, it wasn't working. That goes into also videos. We can talk for a long time about videos as well, but
Well,
I wanted to pause and see if I answered your
yeah.
question.
Yes, you answered my question. And that was the other question was if I do have an animation or have sound on my video, as long as it goes through PowerPoint or Keynote, it will operate.
If it goes through PowerPoint or Keynote, it will operate, but there's just risks involved with it, and so people are more prone to advise you to go through Pro Presenter, which is what our software is. That does not do, it's a stagnant image, so it doesn't do any like animations or transitions with that. Oh, if you are gonna make it in Canva, you can make it with the transitions. You just have to, like, say you have a slide and you have like 3 points on there. You can make 3 different slides with 3 different
It's like a fake animation.
points.
A fake
Yes,
animation.
that is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. It's a fake animation. You start with all 3 and then you work your way backwards because some people, especially in Canva, there's like tiny little details that you may not see, but when it's being advanced, it causes your points to kind of fly over the screen if it's not the exact same. So make it first with all 3 points, then create a duplicate, and then delete from backwards to forwards, if that makes sense, and then go back and delete that first one.
Thank you. And Howard, I see your hand up. Was that new or from before?
That should have been from before. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I was undoing it, but I guess I didn't see it.
I did want to point on when you're making them, we always ask that they're in the resolution of 1920 by 1080. And then your smallest font should be 32. Do not go smaller than that, and it won't read.
That's important to know, folks. I started my career as a graphic designer, so yeah.
And less is more.
And I think because I know all the people here, we know this, but in case somebody's watching and you don't, if when they ask for your slides, when some like an attendee will ask for your slides, if they don't need you, if the slides say everything that you would be saying, why do they need you? So to me, it's more just either a visual example or something to add to what I'm speaking about. It shouldn't be the exact same thing. Chris, did you have something to add?
Yeah, on the slide resolution. So this has only happened to me, I think, once.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually for one of my bigger clients. So I had the presentation created, Elizabeth, just in the same resolution, which is essentially like a 16:9, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got into the room, however they had the projector configured, I want to say was a 4:3.
Okay.
And a bunch of the slides that I had kind of worked with to make sure everything fit onto one line and like change the font to 55.2 to maximize my space, but not go under the line. Now I had a bunch of stuff that was on the second line. And I was always concerned that made me feel a little bit bush league. If I ask somebody who maybe is not like the expert level AV, but just somebody who's going to be in the room, if they know what resolution their projector is set to, what are the chances they're gonna know, or does it make sense to have kind of a backup version of the presentation in a 4:3?
When you're working with professionals, it won't be hard, but sometimes people skimp on using AV companies and they have just a random person that volunteered to progress the slides. So that is a great question. I go back to, you should ask before you even get there. You should hop on a call with them, or if you're in the area, do a site visit or something like that. But it's always good to have a backup and different ways you can do it in order for it to never have just one way of presenting.
Yes. And always be prepared to do it without.
Right.
Without AV at all.
I wanted to touch on, I think someone said something about videos.
Yes.
Is that correct? Videos are very important. This can be a train wreck if you don't do this correctly. Um, there, there are always problems when you do videos if you don't do them right. There's a certain way that the AV team has to put them through with the audio and making sure that there's not trouble points in them. You don't want to rely on the internet for any videos that are in your presentation. And so typically the AV team will strip that video and make sure it's downloaded to an actual device or their computer or whatever they're pushing it through on. And so if you just have a link to your video in your presentation, we have found so many times that sometimes the web page isn't even available because whoever owns that video has taken it down, or if you get it off YouTube, it's no longer there, or there's just so many, a plethora of reasons that a video doesn't work. And so if you own the actual video, like if you made it, or like you have the actual ability to send it to the AV team, that is the best way to do it, because they can then put it inside and they can embed it into your presentation to where you just click next and it advances. We also need to know, because we need to be ready for certain connections and hookups for the audio, because there's different types of audio. You've got your speaker, you've got your actual like physical speakers, you've got your mics, you've got background music, there's different places where sound comes out of. And if we're not prepared to have that connected, it's really bad, especially if you're recording, like if there's cameras in the room and you're recording your presentation. That's another thing, is we'll typically do a different line for the actual recording so the client can have the audio of the actual video instead of just hearing it through the speakers in the room. So there's just lots of nuances with that. So make sure your team knows that you have video prior to, and they can tell you the best way that they like to receive it.
I think everything you're saying goes back to communication and having those conversations with the team ahead of time.
And there's also sometimes different sound in a video. So depending on who made it, we've had like some interviews are quiet and then it like blasts the next music. So we need to be able to test that and have our sound person be able to mix it correctly, so it's not like, oh, I can't hear anything, and then, oh my gosh, you just like blew me away with the music. So
love it. Kathy, question, comment?
Yeah, quick question. So for example, if you do have a video embedded into your slide presentation and you don't have an AV team, should you keep that video on your laptop? I mean,
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out like where you have to make sure it's downloaded so that you
To
can
your
actually
computer.
open it up.
Yes, always download it to your actual device, and then put it in there instead of just linking it out.
Okay, thank you.
I love these questions.
And it's always horrible when you're like in the moment and you're in this big like storytelling moment and everything is riding on this video. Like, take a look at this video. And then the audience gets stuck with that just like loading screen or a blank screen, and you're like, okay, well, it would have been cool. Like, but at that point, you've lost them. They have disconnected. Your momentum is gone. The moment is gone, and you might have cost that client some emotional heartstring money if you're at a fundraising event, and that's not always good, because you're always there to support the purpose of the event.
So many issues. Now, what about lighting?
Lighting. So most people don't think lighting is that important. I think it's one of the most overlooked things for speakers in general to worry about. But lighting just, it informs a lot of stuff. So you've got stage lighting, so that's your stage wash. It's making sure that you look good on camera, you look good on the screens. They have to balance a lot of coloring within that. And so it also sets the mood of the event. You also have uplighting, which is just creating colors, creating vibes. You've got movers, which are those things I think everybody should maybe knows what I'm talking about. It's the moving projections. Then there's lasers. All of those things inform what type of event it is. So ask prior what type, and so because you can also gauge what you wear based on the lighting, the colors. So there's just so many nuances that you can pick up from, and information and valuable tips and tricks that you can implement into your message. Because you're going to present yourself differently if there's movers and lasers and all this stuff. You're going to match the energy. But if there's candlelight and, there's all these different things, you're not going to be like, "What's up, everybody?" If it's like, nah, that's not the vibe that we were going for. So be aware of that lighting. This is just every single speaker, if they haven't been on stage before, says, "Oh my gosh, I'm being blinded." We're not intentionally trying to blind you with that stage wash. We're trying to make sure everything is lit so that you look good on recordings, videos, pictures, everything.
I hate it.
I know.
I hate, when I'm doing virtual, the
Right.
lights, even at the lowest setting, are just, I should get some kind of coating on my glasses.
Maybe a tint. But I mean, if it is like you can't handle it, like during that dress rehearsal, you can talk to them to turn it down. But just know that it's not that they're trying to blind you. There's a lot of other things going on in that as well. Also, if you need the lights off during your presentation, or if you need the house lights up, please let us know beforehand, because you're gonna stand up there being like, "Can I get the house lights up?" And nobody's gonna know where the switches are, and because it wasn't talked about, and AV team's gonna be like, "Well, wish I would have known."
Yeah.
But I don't know where the switches are. I can't make that moment happen for you, so it's not gonna work. And then the attendees are gonna be like, "Well, great. They can't see where they're filling out their checks or whatever else."
Again,
it's
the conversation ahead of time to go through all these things.
We had somebody. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say we had somebody that wanted us to turn off every single light because he had a vision of, like, all right, one light versus turn on all of your cell phone lights and all this stuff. But we had to scramble asking, like, the venue staff, like, making sure we knew where all the lights are. And then also there's security lighting. So you might not get that complete dark feeling that you need.
I love it. Chitra had a question in the chat. Chitra, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I can't turn on the video, but I'll
No
ask my
worries.
question. So I sometimes do a little guided meditation as part of my session, and so I was wondering if there's an efficient way to have the music playing in the background while I'm speaking, and I struggle with that online.
You said music playing in the background?
Yes, yeah. So like I have like a quiet sort of like meditative music playing in the back, and I'm guiding people through it, like an imagery.
And that's in person or virtual, Chitra?
It's virtual is where I have the problem. Yeah.
Can you explain the problem? Like, is it that it's too low? Is it that it's not
so when I
working with you
speak,
talking?
yeah, when I speak, the music will cut out, or when the music goes through, my voice doesn't. So
Right. I mean, an easy fix, maybe have a different music playing, like a different laptop or a different tablet or something else playing the music. But when AV handles production, that won't be an issue because everything will be ran differently. So if you have somebody else running it, just let them know that's the goal that you're going for. But there's not an easy fix, especially with like Zoom settings. It depends. You can go down the weeds on trying to figure that out. But the easiest, like most just cheapest way, I guess you could say, is just have a different speaker playing that's connected to
I actually have an
device.
idea.
oh,
Yes.
tell me.
What if you pre-recorded what you're saying with the music?
That
Yeah.
would work too. Then you would just advance to that video, and then it would eliminate those variables.
Yeah. I know. I do like the live energy of it. So
Yes, I
Right.
understand.
that's
Me
the
too.
Because
only,
you feel
yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah. And then I tweak what I'm saying based on the audience or what we've talked about before that. So
I did an event during the pandemic where Um, somebody led us in a meditation, and somebody did sound bowls,
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
but they were a separate. So I was logged on as me, and they were a separate. So maybe it worked better because they were a separate. They were in their space and
mm.
had the music on, not through their computer. It was on. I don't know if it was a CD or I don't know what it was, but um, maybe that.
Yeah, there's a way to do two audio inputs into Zoom. So that's what I have done in the past, and that
Mhm.
or like an amplifier, like using one of those amp boxes,
Yep.
preamps, and those work best. But I was just curious if there was another solution that you knew of. But thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. Glenn.
What do I wear and what don't I wear, clothing wise?
Again, it depends on, that's why those 4 questions are so important in the beginning because it informs what you wear and what you don't. And so if you're at a conference, if you are at a festival, you're not going to wear a suit and tie at a festival necessarily. I mean, you could, but it depends on that vibe. What is the vibe of your message? Do you mind me asking that? Like, are you what's your personality? Are you a fun guy? Are you structured? What are you trying to communicate?
Yeah, I mean, like the look that I have on now is pretty much the look and more of a fun guy that could get serious pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is great. I've different people wear different things. I mean, for women, like if you're at a gala or a banquet, sometimes they wear, a formal dress. Or if you're at a networking or a leadership training, you're going to wear a suit or just a button-up shirt. It depends what mic you're going to be using, how you want to connect it. But I mean, clothing matters a lot for how
Ma-
you want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, is there a color I should not wear?
I wouldn't wear black.
Oh, okay,
Which
good
Typically,
to know.
which is always hard, especially women, like a lot of women like in New York like to wear black. But if
right.
you have the black curtain behind you,
You are typically going to have black drape, and you'll
floating
blend
head.
right in. Yep, floating head. And if you want, I know a lot of other speakers, and I've done it myself. You can do a color analysis class, and you can get to know what exactly looks right for you. And most people actually don't look that great in black, so I think that's because it's too much of a contrast. You wanna find something that people look at you and not necessarily just your clothes.
And I'll,
Um,
I'll add something, Glenn. Something we've talked about periodically within NSA. A lot of people think they have to dress to match the audience, but they're hiring you because of your brand and the way you present. So, for
mhm.
instance, there was a guy, the first influence I ever went to, he was, before they were trendy and popular, he was known for wearing sort of loud or big patterned blazers.
Mhm.
And then he got to an event and they were like, oh, you're not wearing your blazer. So part of it is what's your brand,
Yeah.
not necessarily who's your audience.
I get that with the sneakers all the time.
Yeah, I wear sneakers all the time. I'll wear
No, like
sneakers
like
with a
the
dress. Yeah.
yeah, the bright colored sneakers I wear to NSA, I wore black ones to a talk once, and I got like 4 questions as why I wasn't wearing the gold or the red or the purple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Love
And
these
it also
questions.
depends if you're doing a demonstration. If you need to move a lot, you don't want to wear something that's uncomfortable. If you're bending down to do something, like you don't want to wear something that you're like, oh, it's stiffen. Or if you're sitting down for a panel, you might wear, especially women, if you're wearing a shorter dress, you shouldn't, if you're sitting down. And then sometimes the table isn't draped, so if you're sitting, like just know that that's a factor too. Yeah, so great question. I think you can dive really deeply in that. And that's why I bring up lighting too, like knowing the coloring of the lights. Sometimes it's fun if it's like a red and you're wearing a red suit, like it's just fun. So,
So what detail do speakers mostly overlook that that can impact our comfort, our confidence? Like what haven't we talked about that we might miss or
I
skip?
I think it's the backstage element. It's people people don't think about how they're getting from point A to point B. Especially if you are somebody that requires higher security, they may take you in through the back versus, bringing you up through the audience. Or if you're needing to hang out in the dressing room the whole time, what type of snacks do you need? I know it gets in the details of that, but like sometimes people, I can't have chips. I need fruit or like something that allows them to be more comfortable. And then how you want your stage to be set up. I act as a stage manager for the majority of all of our shows. And so I'm the one typically checking with the speakers, making sure that their stage is set up correctly. Sometimes we set it up because we had the wrong point of contact and we didn't talk to, or the speaker didn't talk to us directly, and we set the stage up not the way that they wanted to. So, that individual had me change around how we had the podium, how we had her stool. She wanted water on the stage, but she only wanted it in a glass bottle. She wanted to make sure it was already open. That's another thing. If you don't want to sit on stage taking the time to try and open your own water bottle, and not having that sound of the crack and everything in your mic, let your stage manager know that, and they'll have all of that prepared for you. Also, are there stairs? Do you need a ramp? Sometimes if you have a speaker that is paralyzed, we've had that before, and they didn't have a ramp for them to get on stage. Like that is the obvious details that they did not follow through on. So me as a stage manager, maybe it's not my job, but those are the things that I look for. And when I speak to a speaker beforehand, I'll ask you those questions.
I love that. I love that. Before we get to any additional questions that maybe we didn't cover, especially for people who are watching this on replay and they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, should I put it in the chat?
Sure. That'd be great.
I was I love talking about this. If you couldn't tell, I'm passionate about events. I am obsessed with the flow and making sure people feel comfortable. And so if you ever need to just chat, or if you have a question, please reach out. Rehearsals are super important, but everything prior to that is where the nitty-gritty happens, and rehearsal is just a final run through, and icing on the cake time where you can run through your slides, your mic checks, making sure you know who's miking you up and where, all of those things. So yeah, awesome.
And having the pack turned off when you're not on stage and using the bathroom.
Absolutely. And if there is a good AV team, they should know to lock on your mic. So that means they have the control over when it's unmuted and muted, and all you have to do is walk on stage.
I know also before everybody came on, we were talking about you have good recommendations apparently for demo reels and stuff like that. So do you have time to tell us what you meant by that a little bit?
Hang on. One thing, Elizabeth, was that Event Point HQ?
Correct.
Okay.
For my email.
Okay.
Yeah. Being in this world, I've got a lot of friends that do a lot of things around events and videography and networking and all of that sort of stuff. So I do have a friend that does scissor reels and demo reels based on the type, and they kind of help you go through what type of speaker are you, how are you trying to be presented and branded, and they'll help that reflect that in your videos and help you get content.
I think that person is my guest next month.
Oh, can we say names? Maybe not.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cam?
Yep.
Yes, he is awesome.
That's my guest next month. So we're talking about all things video.
He is awesome. He is absolutely awesome. He is Canadian. He lives in Canada. I met him, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, but he's great.
Yeah. It's also a testament to what a good job Beth does putting these together.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think we have if somebody has one really quick question, I think we would have time for that. Anything we didn't cover that you're thinking about, everyone?
This is great. This is really informative.
Thank you.
Something I haven't heard before, so it's awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because it's even one thing that wait, I never thought of that before. And as we speak on different types of stages and in different rooms, there may be things that we hadn't thought of. So thank you so much. And thank you everybody that was here live. And I'm glad the rain seems to have stopped temporarily for where you are, Elizabeth. And for people watching on video, again, you can contact Elizabeth. And if for any reason the chat doesn't come through on the recording for replay people, just let me know and I'll give you the contact information. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Elizabeth. See you all soon.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye all.